I'll be honest, guys, the new zones in Amphorius are cool as heck, but I'm so tired of everything being nighttime all the time. It's kind of depressing, so we're back on Eurilo 6, okay? Hello, everyone, and welcome to my pre-release analysis and first impressions of Anaxa. This is going to be our newest upcoming male character in Honkai Star Rail, I think version 3.2, but I honestly forget what version we're in sometimes because there's so many games to juggle and so many versions to juggle. Either way, I've been playing him for a bit and I have a lot to say. I'll start off by saying I actually am very happy with how this character turned out because a lot of characters recently have been extremely complicated, long, lengthy, wordy kits that are like super complex to play. I know some people really like that, but it's been a while since we have had a character that's just very straightforward. Yeah, this character does this, and sometimes it does this. Like, that is so, oh my God, I'm so tired of explaining a doctoral thesis every single time a new character comes out. It's really refreshing to have a character that just works, no crazy conditions. He just does the thing. As a heads up though, everything you're gonna see in this video is technically subject to change because I'm on the creator experience server for version 3.2 or 3. Again, I don't remember which. Either way, just keep that in mind. Results may vary. The final product might be slightly different. Without further yapping, my name is Braxophone, but you can call me Brax, and let me tell you all about Anaxa. All right, first off, this guy is super interesting in the lore, and I really like how his kit plays because it's very different from anything else we have right now, except for like maybe Silverwolf. But the thing is, like, unlike Silverwolf, Anaxa is actually useful in AoE content. So hopefully those buffs for Silverwolf that they talked about in the live stream, hopefully those will give her some AoE powers, so that way we don't have to look at him like the next coming of Bronya. But this guy does a lot of damage, and he's actually meant to be played sometimes with a second erudition character, but he can stand on his own 2 feet as a standalone hyper carry, like just a regular DPS character, and that's been really impressive. I've been really happy with his damage, and I'm even happier with it with another erudition character as well. The fact that he can play as a sub DPS or a main DPS is really nice. It means you have a lot of team flexibility, and it means you don't have to have characters like the Herda to make him very, very strong. I'll talk about this in the team section a little bit, but that's my first impression of his teams, I guess. He's just very straightforward and easy to play. I'll explain exactly what he does right before we go into combat, but just so you know what his build is that I'm going to be running in this video, it's going to be the free-to-play light cone that everyone is getting if you log in during the anniversary event. Basically increases your attack, which is great. He really likes attack. And then for every different weakness type an enemy target has, the damage dealt by the wearer increases by 8% up to a max of 7 weakness types. So that is a crazy bonus. That is 56% damage bonus and 16% attack. Great stuff for him. We do have his traces maxed, no Eidolons unlocked. And then as far as relics go, we're running the 4-piece quantum set and we're running 2-piece Rudolent Arena. This I found to be very effective, but you can also run the wind set if you have it. It is the Eagle of Twilight line set, increase wind damage and then gives action forward after using his ultimate. You get to use his ultimate a lot, so the wind set is pretty good. Scholar Lost in Erudition also works fine, but the quantum set, because you're going to be applying every weakness to him, this is technically the best on paper and we are going to be using it. Rudolent Arena for the extra basic and skill damage bonus. This thing is just absolutely disgusting, but you can also technically use Izumo if you're playing him with another erudition like the Herda, and honestly anything that gives him attack or crit is going to be pretty useful for him, but Rudolent's just the goat. Crit rate body, speed boots, attack orb, attack rope. You can also run energy regen on him with Herda in some instances, but I'll get into that more in the guide. Either way, let's get right into combat. I know you guys are itching to know what he does and how he plays, so I'll see you over there in a sec. So here we are in MOC 12 against this giant monkey TV dinosaur. We're going in with a completely free-to-play setup, and I will show you that in just a moment. Now, if we had a quantum element character, we would want to hit the boss with that because of our build, but we don't, so it is what it is. All right, so let's talk Anaxa. This character is super cool and quite honestly, very easy to play. It's a nice, pleasant surprise that his kit isn't way overcomplicated because we haven't had that in a minute. Every character has been absolutely crazy and did 1,000 things and buffed themselves 1,000 times. Anaxa does have self buffs and things like that, but it's not going to be super game changing in terms of like how you understand the character. He's very straightforward. His ultimate, what it does is it implants every weakness on enemies and also stuns them if they don't have control res. Now the weaknesses themselves that you implant will last until that enemy's turn. This is a very valuable tool. You may notice that we don't actually have a sustainer here. The reason is because with Anaxa, if you actually plan his ultimates and use them when enemies are about to attack or like right after their first action, you can delay their action or in some cases even cancel out their actions, which prevents you from taking as much damage as you might normally. For that reason, Anaxa is one of the few characters that you can actually run sustainless, especially if you know what you're doing. And his ultimate is a great tool for that. Now, the meat and potatoes of his kit is his skill and how that interacts with his talent. Essentially, whenever you attack a target with Anaxa, you inflict a random weakness type to that enemy, and it lasts for 3 turns, with the priority being weaknesses that that enemy doesn't already have for obvious reasons. You already know I'm gonna make the Silver Wolf joke in my guide video. And then if enemies have 5 or more different weaknesses, Anaxa deals 30% more damage to those enemies, and in addition to that, using a basic attack or skill allows him to do an extra skill that doesn't consume skill points and does a ridiculous amount of damage. If the enemy gets defeated after you use the skill or basic attack without the follow-up thing actually happening, by the way, it's not a follow-up attack, but it is a skill that follows up the initial skill or basic. If you defeat an enemy with that first hit, the second hit will always land on whatever other enemies are available, or if another wave starts, he will still trigger it at the start of the next wave, which is really nice. Now, he does have a few different buffs. So with 2 Erudition characters, you actually get a damage dealt increase for all allies by 50%. 50% damage bonus is pretty good, but you don't have to run him with another Erudition. He is actually so strong that if you run him as a hyper carry, he can get the job done pretty dang well. And in this free-to-play setup, this allows me to show you that you don't need to have the Herda to be able to clear content with him. On top of that, he also gets defense ignore for every weakness that the enemy has, up to a max of 7. So if they have 7 weaknesses, he gets a total of 28% defense ignore, which is absolutely disgusting. That on top of the quantum set that we're running right now is crazy. And then we're also getting defense shred from Pela as well. So we are doing a ton of damage and ignoring a ton of defense. One thing to note is that his skill is bounce, and as mentioned, he gives a weakness for every single enemy that gets hit. So, you know, the bounce skill working like that is going to allow you to apply more weaknesses, which is really cool. And then on top of that, for the amount of enemies that are on the field, you get 20% increased damage with his skill. So up to a max of 100% damage bonus, which is super nice. And truthfully, that's kind of all there is to his kit. There is the other thing about his basic attack, which is if you use his basic attack, he gets 10 energy still. And if there are no enemies that have 5 weaknesses, at least at the start of his turn, he immediately gets 30 energy. His ultimate does not cost that much. It's like 140. And keep in mind, guys, when you're doing the double skills, you're getting 30 energy for every single one of those. So you're getting 30 for the first skill, 30 for the second, total of 60 energy per turn. And the basic attack, since it also gets 30 energy and can trigger that same thing, you can get 60 energy from basic, 60 energy from skill use, which is ridiculously good. Unironically, that is all there is to this character. That's it. He's very straightforward. Attack scaling character, apply weakness, profit. That's it. So with that said, let me just verify with you guys. 4-star light cone. This is the new free-to-play light cone that you should get if you are playing this patch. We're using the Herda Shop light cone on Trailblazer. We're using Dance 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 on Tingyun, of course, and Resolution Shines as Pearls of Sweat on Pela. All 4-star light cones, all 4-star or free characters, plus Anaxa. So let's get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by skilling with Remembrance Trailblazer just to summon Mem. Mem's gonna be at 93 charge, so we want to wait until Tingyun's turn queues up, which is right now, and then we can use her ultimate. What that's going to do is give Mem the charge, but still let Tingyun take her turn. Now we can take our turn with Tingyun, buff Anaxa, bring Anaxa forward. He gains energy because these guys don't have 5 weaknesses. And then we are going to use his ultimate to give them a bajillion weaknesses. Now they're weak to everything. 193k, honestly a little low, but that's okay. We're hitting kind of low right now, but that was basically almost 750k damage in the first turn, which is disgusting. I'm going to go ahead and skill on Remembrance Trailblazer, go ahead and ult right off the bat, so that way we don't waste any energy. These guys are going to come to life, they're going to smack me around. Attacking Mem is really like kind of ideal for us since we can actually heal Mem with Remembrance MC, so that is actually very good. Wow, okay, 3 in a row. Sweet, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to basic attack with Pela. We're going to ult with Pela, shred all of their defense. And now, since they have all of these weaknesses, we can just skill, and we get the double skill, which is so nice. Mem's going to attack. We're going to heal Mem and get 100 charge. Boom, Anaxa forward. And now I can show you his basic attack. So by basic attack, he should still do the extra skill, which is so nice. His basic attack really isn't an absurd damage loss. I mean, it's pretty big, but it doesn't feel like the entire run is bricked, which is so nice. Now that ult, I just used it to try and see what we could do before the end of the cycle, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. Honestly, guys, you should save his ultimate for after an enemy action queues up, and then you can cancel out their bonus action, which is so nice. But these guys are frozen, so, well, 2 of them are frozen. This guy's not, so he's still gonna hurt. But everyone else is frozen, so we're kind of chilling in that regard. We should only take damage from one of them. I'm gonna ult with Tingyun, why not? Give him the energy, and hopefully he'll be ready for the next round here. Wait, basic attack. These guys have a bajillion weaknesses, and we cook them. Now they're cooked. All right, so this guy's gonna attack. The second he goes out to attack, I'm going to immediately use an Anaxa there. So basic attack here. He gives us the attack boost, and then you can cancel out. I'm just showing you, he queued up before the bonus action. You can cancel out the bonus action. He's not gonna take it. See, it just disappeared. It was still in the queue, but it's gone, which is so funny. All right, so we're just gonna basic attack with Pela. We're gonna defense shred literally every single person, or not person, I guess TV. But since they have all of these weaknesses, we're just gonna do a ridiculous amount of damage. Oh my God, 700K right there. That is so crazy. Now, if these guys did damage to me, that would be one thing. They're not going to do damage right now. They're just gonna kind of like, I don't even know. They're gonna glitch out, bug out. We're gonna basic attack, allow us to bring Anaxa forward, and we can attack another time, which is just so ridiculous. That guy is now broken. Insane. Recovering for break and give us the attack boost. Thank you so much. You're so kind. That guy's a happy camper. He's gonna give us some more energy. That guy's also happy with us. He's just happy to see us. They're just having a really nice day. And I'm so glad they're around. We're gonna go ahead and skill. Almost enough to ult. Almost. That's totally fine though. What we can do, since we have so many skill points, we can just do this. Get the extra charge, 76%. And then after Anaxa ults, we should be able to pretty soon get Mem's 100 charge up. We're gonna go ahead and skill here. The bonus should kill. Yep, brings us to next phase. And what I should have done, I actually just misplayed there. What I should have done is waited for this to go off first, because now he's gonna lose the weakness. But luckily, not every single one of them is attacking. If nothing else, we should still be able to get all the bonuses on Anaxa's turn, which is gonna be nice. All the extra skills. All right, so let's bring Anaxa up right now. If I skill with her, bring us to 100%, 100 charge, we can bring him forward. Beautiful. So we actually want to attack this guy because he has 7 weaknesses. We don't want to attack him with 4 because we want to make sure that we're getting the follow-up. So boom. Extra 400k damage. Incredible. Thank you for the action forward. Wow, so generous. This boss is so silly. This is such a funny boss. All right, we're going to basic attack with Pela. Defense shred everyone. Everyone gets shredded. And then we're gonna go ahead and skill once more. Can we afford to? Yeah, we can afford to skill once more. Let's do it. Why not? Boom, and then Anaxa's turn. This guy is going to just absolutely delete these guys. I'm gonna wait for this attack to go off. Oh, it doesn't matter, they were frozen. Wasn't paying enough attention to that, but that's okay. This guy is really straightforward and really easy to play, really rewarding, which is one of my favorite things about him is he's just so incredibly straightforward and easy. It's really quite refreshing. I'm gonna double basic attack here. So I'll basic attack on her, basic attack on Pela. All of that true damage from the cycle comes out. That guy's mad, this guy's happy. He's gonna give us a ton of energy. Wow, so kind, thank you so much. What a nice TV monkey. We're gonna go ahead and skill once more. Bunch of energy. This should basically, this actually won't give Mem 100 charge, but what will give Mem 100 charge is the skill from Anaxa, but we're going to kill this before then. It doesn't really matter. Because here we go, then we get the extra skill, and yeah, the whole thing explodes. So there was 3 cycles with a completely free-to-play setup. You can probably do 4 cycles with a sustain. You can probably do 3 cycles with a sustain even. And again, keep in mind, not a single paid character or light cone in here. I mean, okay, technically there's gotcha light cones on the 4 stars, but they're not 5-star light cones. They're light cones you'll get over time with progression of your account. So yeah, craziness here, especially considering this guy can also be played as like as a sub DPS as well with the Herda and just get like crazy results. Him being able to do this solo is nuts. With that said, I guess I'll go over the rest of everything you need to know about him, including his like teams, light cones, Eidolons, stuff like that. So let's get into it. So I briefly mentioned that I was using this free to play 4-star light cone that they gave us from the event. But there are other light cones you can play with him, of course. He does have his own signature light cone that is just absolutely disgusting. At the start of the wearer's turn, regenerates 10 energy if the enemy target has a weakness implanted by the wearer. Increase the wearer's damage dealt to it by 60%. 60%! And then when the enemy targets are attacked by the wearer decreases its defense by 12%. So just a ton of bonuses, a bunch of extra energy at the start of his turn too. So overall, his signature is pretty disgusting. Like, well, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, it's good. But that free-to-play light cone that they gave us is very solid. To give you an example, the Bailu light cone for Castoris was probably the best like free-to-play accessible light cone. It was a 5-star light cone, but a lot of free-to-play players happen to pull it on accident, either on like the standard banner or losing the 75/25, or you can get it in the shop. Like there's a lot of ways to get it. And that light cone compared to Castoris' signature, the Castoris signature was like 30% better. Well, Anaxa's light cone is only about 15 or 16% better, meaning that like you're not actually missing out on a ton. If you play this patch, this light cone is great and you should get it for him if you're getting Anaxa. His signature, like if you really like the character and you want to main him and stuff, like obviously this is very good for him, but you don't actually need it. This is solid. The Herda's light cone is also great if you happen to have 2 of those for some reason. And technically, if you have Night on the Milky Way at S5, it actually ends up being like a tiny bit slightly better than the free-to-play 4-star light cone, but I feel like most of you guys probably don't have this S5, so don't worry about it. And then if you miss this and you are looking for something to use in the meantime, or if you happen to have the Battle Pass light cone, today is another peaceful day, also is great. As mentioned before, there are a couple different relic sets that you can use, but the main thing is that this guy just needs a lot of attack. He gets so much damage bonus just being played normally, it's kind of insane. Like if you go and you look at his kit, in his skill alone, he gets an extra 100% damage bonus, right? And then you go to his talent, and if you have double erudition, you get another 50% damage bonus. And then with this light cone as well, another 56%. Like he gets so much damage bonus. It really isn't super necessary. Oh, he also has damage bonus in his traces as well. So it's really not super necessary to run damage bonus. I would highly recommend running attack for him, especially because a lot of the supports you'll run with him as well also give damage bonus, but there's not as many that give attack. And so this makes him very happy to have double attack or attack where applicable. And you can run ER on his rope, but I would recommend attack for most scenarios. Again, I'll get into more details on that in my guide video. But speaking of supports that work with him and give him a bunch of damage bonus, let's go over his teams real quick, and I can kind of show you what's more free-to-play friendly about him, what's more costly, and how those things measure out. All right, so the team that you saw me initially use in this video for the showcase was this team with Tingyun, Pela, and Trailblazer. Tingyun is great with Anaxa for the attack bonus that she can give him, but also for the energy. Him being able to use his ultimate more frequently means that you have more weaknesses implanted all the time. You can take full advantage of that free-to-play light cone, and of course you can get the skills that happen after this initial skill or the skill that happens after the basic. You can get that more frequently. So Tingyun is great for that. But Pela's also good because stacking defense ignore and defense reduction is always going to be very strong. This guy already ignores a lot of defense, and then combined with the quantum set, when the enemy is weak to quantum, you actually get even more defense ignore, and then combined with the defense shred of Pela, it's a really, really great combo. Now, if you were playing Anaxa in single target, it would be a little strange, but if you were playing Anaxa in single target, technically Silverwolf is actually good too, because that means you can implant weaknesses even faster. The problem is that Silverwolf is pretty SP negative if you want to implant weaknesses consistently, and Anaxa just does it so freely and without effort that typically just running Pela for the SP I feel like is better. And then Remembrance Trailblazer, of course, the GOAT of this game right now, dude. Remembrance Trailblazer is just best in like every single team. The true damage is too disgusting, too powerful, and then of course the bonus crit is nice. But you can also sub out any one of these characters for a sustainer, and that could be a character like Gallagher. Okay, so this is a return to his break roots, but because you can apply weaknesses to everyone, he can actually get breaks, which is nice. You're not going to get like super breaks because you're not running any super breakers, but you are going to be able to get breaks with them, which is really nice. Then of course, honestly guys, any sustainer is going to be fine with Anaxa. He's an attack scaler, and in an ideal world, Huoho would be great because she gives energy to him and she gives attack bonus. So that's great, but any sustainer works. Heck, even Aventurine works. Again, we haven't really seen a ton of him recently. We've been preferring healers recently, but Aventurine is pretty good with him as well. Literally just any sustainer can work, but you can run sustainless because this ult has that freezing that it does. But let's talk premium. If we look at premium teams and we are running with a sustainer, of course, that's going to be Huoho. You want Tribute and Sunday. Sunday gives you the energy. Sunday gives you the crit damage. Sunday gives you the damage bonus. And all in all, Sunday is great with Anaxa. But Remembrance MC is also great, and you don't need Sunday for Anaxa at all. It just so happens that Sunday also is pretty dang good with him. The reason Tribi is valuable is the same reason Tribi is always valuable. Anaxa ults a lot because he gets a lot of energy, and that means Tribi actually actually gets a lot of follow-up attacks, but on top of that, she gives res pen as well as enemy vuln. So those are two things that Anaxa can take advantage of. They're not like damage bonus in his kit. He's not going to be oversaturated. So characters like these can be great. And you can also, yet again, you can run Sustainless. You can run Remembrance Trailblazer here. And then for other eruditions, you can run the Herta and Jade are going to be the go-tos. Jade is just fine. She's good with like most erudition characters or just most characters in general as like a sub DPS, mostly because she is able to speed up that character. But also if you're going to play him in pure fiction or anything, Jade is great for that. But the Herta is the main one that you're going to see people using. These two in tandem will actually zero cycle content even for free to play players. It's pretty impressive actually how much damage they can do, and if you get lucky with the energy spreads and everything, these two are absolutely disgusting. And running these two with Tribi can be very valuable. This fourth slot can be a sustainer, or it can be another buffer. It could be like Remembrance MC or something, but running these two with Tribi is going to be very valuable. They both benefit from Tribi, and then with both of these on the team, everyone's getting 50% damage bonus, and everyone's getting the extra crit damage bonus, and Tribi is going to be doing a ridiculous amount of damage. This is a Harmony, but she's about to put the harm in Harmony with these two characters on the team. And then for other supports, Ruanmei's fine. The only reason I don't like Ruanmei is because he is already so oversaturated with damage bonus, but the benefit of Ruanmei is actually delaying their attacks, which can allow you to run Sustainless a little bit easier. And then on top of that, she is technically a free-to-play character now if you play during the anniversary. So that's why I threw in it with the free-to-plays. But other supports you can run Robin. Robin gives that sweet attack bonus. And then Jiaoqiu is a vuln to the enemy, which is nice. And then of course, Tribi and Sunday. So this guy has a lot of partners he can run with, a lot of playable characters that are great with him. 4 stars and 5 stars. So I highly encourage you, if you are a free-to-play player, not to feel pressured into pulling for any of the premium characters that run with him, because he can run great with 4 stars and 5 stars alike. He's not a character that you have to have the best, most premium team for, because there's so many options and he just turns out such solid damage all around. So that combined with his light cone, in my opinion, makes him a super free-to-play friendly unit. And finally, the last thing I want to talk with you guys about before I get into my first impressions, I guess I've kind of been giving those throughout the video, but the main thing I want to talk about is Eidolons now, because I mentioned that I feel like he's pretty free-to-play friendly, but how much damage are his Eidolons actually adding? There's a couple things you need to know. First off, his E1 makes it so that after you use his skill for the first time, you're getting a skill point back. Now, in a lot of the teams I've played in him, skill points haven't really been an issue, but there are cases where it can be. This is basically +1 skill point forever. It's not +1 skill point every skill, it's just +1 skill point for the entire fight, which is nice, but it's not like super broken. But the main meat of this is actually the defense shred, because after hitting an enemy with a skill, they actually decrease their defense by 16%, and you can maintain this for 2 enemy turns. So basically permanent 16% defense shred on top of the defense ignore you have from Quantum, on top of the Pela defense shred if you're using Pela, or let's say Jiaoqiu if you're playing him with that defense shredding light cone for Nihility characters. And then also Anaxa himself has the defense ignores. So really crazy stuff. It really stacks up. E2 is also pretty big. It's going to make it so you automatically give them 1 extra weakness with your implant, and you reduce all the resistances by 20%. Now this is just going to help you, I mean, do a fair bit more damage. That's all this is. It's nothing super complicated about like, oh no, you have to change like your turn order or your priority or anything. This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. He's just a very straightforward character. E3 is an ultimate and basic attack level up. E4 is when you use his skill, you get a big attack buff. It can stack up to 2 times. It's up to 60%, which is crazy. E5 is skill and talent level up. And then E6 is essentially, you always have 2 erudition, even if you don't have 2 erudition. I was kind of expecting more out of his E6, but you know what? I don't hate it. It just means that like you don't have to play him with the Herta to get the damage bonus, but honestly, he's fine without them anyways. So why would you go for this unless he's your favorite character ever? I did forget to mention that the damage dealt by Anaxa is 130% of the original damage. So that's a pretty big part of E6, I think. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't change how he plays fundamentally. It just gives you a little bit more freedom in team building to still get all of the benefits. Now, if you want to see kind of what the Eidolons comparison is looking like, E6 obviously is like a huge jump, but E1 and E2 aren't as big as some of the other characters that we've seen. E1 is pretty comparable to getting a signature light cone, but you already have the free-to-play light cone that's so strong on him. E2 is like not super broken. I honestly, guys, I don't think you need to pull for Eidolons on him unless you just really love the character. Looks like we're in the clear, guys. pretty straightforward. And finally, we have an E4 that adds like a lot of damage. So I'm listening back to my recordings and I feel like I've yapped so goddamn much for this character. Here's what you need to know. He's a very free-to-play friendly character if you start playing this patch, because you get this light cone. And I think a lot of people that get him later won't feel the same, but this will probably get added to the Herda shop like all the other previous event Lycones. I say probably, I don't know that for a fact, but it would be really nice if it did, because that would mean that if you ever pulled an Anaxa in the future, you would have access to a very good Lycone. He does have premium teams that do scrape out a ton more damage, but he also has free-to-play teams that can get the job done in a relatively short amount of time and a relatively low amount of cycles. His damage is really significant. His builds aren't strange. Honestly, guys, this character has just been a joy to play. I'm pretty impressed by him. I'm not gonna say he's a must pull or anything, because I don't think he is. He's just pretty good. If you're a free-to-play player and you're newer and you're looking for a pretty strong character, I don't think he's a bad pickup. But with that said, I feel like he's kind of in line with a lot of the other Amphorius characters where, like, yeah, they're not really a bad pickup at all. He is newer, he is dishing out a ton of damage, and he can be played solo. You do not need another erudition with him, but if you do have the Herda, this is more the Herda propaganda, because he will work great with her as well. So that's something to think about, something to keep in mind. Anaxa is pretty good. My first impressions of him are very positive. In general, I'm pretty happy. With all that said, if you guys want to see my full guide on him and all the details you need to know about him, as well as some probably very thirsty jokes, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn the bell on so that way you get notified whenever I upload. And until next time, I'll catch you next. Bye.